Hello to everyone out there in the beautiful internet universe. Welcome to our monthly Medicare Connector training. My name is Sarah Korsh, and I always think that whatever I say in this opening doesn't really matter because people are just logging in, they're not, grabbing their coffee, so I could just break into song. Uh, but regardless, again, my name is Sarah Korsh, and you have joined the LeClair monthly Medicare Connector training, and we've got a really good one for you today. So we're so happy you're here. We're just going to give a minute for everyone to join, and then we will kick it off. For anyone not familiar with LeClair, we're a field marketing organization, and our mission is to make sure that every community in America has a well-trained and well-supported agent serving their community. And more, that service is dependent on technology, updated technology tools, and ways to make your life more efficient. So I'm going to turn this over to my coworker, Omar Flores Cordero, the Director of Medicare, who will introduce the rest of the team and then kick it over to our guest speaker.
Thank you, Sarah. And we're really excited today because there's new things coming up for AEP and new tools are getting added to Connector. And really, this is going to be something great for people that have already used Connector, and then people are thinking, hey, should I start using this? And the answer is yes. We really have seen the agents that are new and they start using the online tools, they write 63% more business than those not utilizing the online tools. And people that are already in the business, when they start using their online tools, we're seeing an increase of 36% business them doing. So, this is really helpful for you as an agent. And I don't want to take too much more of the time, so we're joined here. My colleagues, Ashley and Renee, they are both senior sales relationship managers here at LeClair Group, and they're subject matter experts. So if you have questions about how to use Connector or any follow-ups, feel free to reach out. And last but not least, Aaron and Joanna are joining us from Connecture, and they bring a wealth of knowledge, and we're excited to hear what they have to say about Connector and active analytics. So over to you, Aaron.
Absolutely. Thank you, Omar. And thank you to the entire LeClair team. It's been really phenomenal to work with you all this year. So as Omar said, my name is Aaron Davis. I'm a senior product manager here at Connecture. As I kind of get started here and with sharing my screen, I'll just say what a joy it is to work with the LeClair folks, right? They've been so good to us. And I think our partnership spanning the last several years has been a really positive way to showcase exactly what Omar said, that technology is a key way to move forward our industry, but it really is dependent on strong agents doing what they do best, build strong relationships, build trust with their communities, with their members, and best serve them with the plans and the options that can help create really informed, really confident Medicare seniors, especially amid a lot of disruption in the Medicare market. So a little bit of background on who Connecture is. And actually, if I can get a quick thumbs up, maybe from Joanna, who's on camera, there should be a screen that says, "Hi, I'm Aaron Davis from Connecture DRX." Perfect. Wanted to make sure I'm sharing the right screen here. So just a little bit of background on Connecture. For those of you who don't know, so Medicare Connector, the shopping and enrollment platform, is powered by Connecture DRX. It's built on our architecture. It's powered by a lot of our data, and we do this across the Medicare industry. So overall, there are about 125,000 agents, not just LeClair ones, but across the entire country that are using Connecture DRX's shopping and enrollment solutions. That name might not seem familiar, Connecture DRX, because a lot of our platforms are white labeled. They're really given the names that agents can be comfortable with and they can be comfortable with using with their beneficiaries. But we're kind of the powerhouse behind a lot of this movement in Medicare enrollments in our industry. In addition to just our agent pool of the actual folks who are using our technology on a day-to-day basis, we've partnered with over 200 carriers to make plans available for enrollment. So we take in a massive amount of data from all of the carriers across the entire spectrum of MA, MAPD, PDP, MedSup, ancillary carriers, have a really extensive range and breadth of plans that are available to be shopped and enrolled. And all of that partnership across both agents and health plans results in a pretty staggering amount of enrollments that come through our technology every single year. So about 2.35 million enrollments came through our solutions in 2024. About 2 million of those were during the AEP season. So said in short with this slide, we deal with a lot of agents, we deal with a lot of carriers, and we deal with a lot of enrollments. And one thing that has really come up over the last year that I think won't be a surprise or a shock to anyone on this call is that 2024 was quite the year of disruption for Medicare. Agents' words, not ours. A lot of agents described AEP 2025 as a nightmare. A lot of shifts in how folks were getting paid for plans, a lot of shifts in discontinuations, a lot of shifts in prices and benefits, in crosswalks, all these sorts of things that just make it really taxing and really difficult to work with a book of business and serve them to the best of your ability. A couple stats just kind of to call this out on a quantitative basis. About 92% of all Medicare members received an ANOC letter last year. Said it another way, there were only 8% of all of the beneficiaries in the United States that had zero changes to their plan, to their coverage, to some aspect of how they were served as a Medicare beneficiary. Only 8% saw zero change across the board. So the vast majority are seeing is some level of disruption to their coverage. Kind of to hammer home that point, about 1.4 million folks saw their plans discontinued for 2025. So the importance of agents really can't be understated when there are a massive amount of beneficiaries that are seeing these disruptions where if they're not addressed can have really negative impacts to both their health and their finances. And it's not just discontinuations. There were millions more that were affected by drug formulary changes. That's drugs that a Medicare beneficiary was taking that may have been dropped from formulary, premium increases, maximum out-of-pocket increases, benefit changes, and obviously shifting federal and state rules. So a little bit of backstory on knowing that this disruption was coming. Because of where Connecture sits in the market, we didn't want to sit back and just say, well, there's a lot of disruption, but nothing we can do about it, because there is something that we could do about it. And what we decided kind of almost exactly a year ago, we sat around our office in Milwaukee behind me, and we said, look, there's this wave of disruption coming. Knowing the data that we have, both on members and on the entire plan landscape of Medicare, can we identify the members that are actually going to be impacted and raise up that information to agents so that they can take action versus having to dig through spreadsheets and have to do all this really rigorous research to get to exactly how their members were going to be affected. And so what it kind of turned into a fun side project, it became a very important initiative for Connecture come right before the AEP season. We said, let's test it out. So with a couple of partners, we were able to put a pilot together that analyzed about 100,000 members across a few partners. We were able to tell those partners on a member-by-member basis which of their members were going to be affected by a discontinued or a crosswalk plan, which of their members were going to be affected by a drug formulary change. That's a drug that was going to be dropped from coverage based on a formulary that shifted from plan year 2024 to plan year 2025, as well as folks who were affected by plan premium increases. And we found overall, when we analyzed all of the data and presented it to all these customers, that about 1 in 5 saw a level of disruption. So 20% had that kind of key area of disruption that we were able to raise up. So what went from fun side project to pilot, we've now determined that this level of data delivered directly to agents has to be its own product. Just a quick anecdote from this pilot process overall. We had one of our partners say that this was like having a cheat code for AEP. This was having an exact roadmap of how folks were going to be affected, and we needed to build off of the efforts that we put in the market early last year. And so Fun side project to pilot has now become a full platform called Active Analytics. And the not to bury the lead, Active Analytics is going to be a platform that is available for LeClair agents this year. We've partnered with LeClair, and it's the whole reason that we wanted to showcase this to you, to get you excited, because this sort of capability is going to be available for LeClair agents. And I saw the hands raised. I'm in the exact same spot. I'm very excited for this. And what it is at its very base is in-depth member insights, but not just delivering the data itself. We've added a few key features, and we'll walk through some of what those are, that make that insight designed for efficient action, actually allowing you to see how members are going to be affected, but more importantly, telling you and letting you know how to engage with those members to make sure that you can serve your book, make sure that you can really reduce down all of this really rigorous time to do research and to dig through massive formulary sheets or massive member charts, making it very simple to know exactly who is disrupted and how to address them. So that in-depth member insight designed for action means that our platform has two key pieces to it, and we'll walk through both of them. The first of which is a data model, and let's walk through just a little bit of how that works. So what we're going to be doing for LeClair and other customers that are using Active Analytics is first we take in member information. So we will have a direct integration in with Medicare Connection, the shopping and enrollment platform that Connecture DRX has built and partnered with LeClair to offer to all of you. With all of that member information, there's a number of data points that we have available to us that you can directly input into that system. That's member names, that's demographics, that's drug cabinets, pharmacy information, provider information, all of the enrollment history that's been done through that platform. So there's a number of data points that are available right out the gate, but there's also a whole host of data points that can exist in the background that allow us to generate a good amount of logic. So the other really good added benefit here is there's no re-entering of data into this system. So gone are days of having, really big spreadsheets and have to kind of import one of those or input individuals one by one into Active Analytics that has a direct feed in with Medicare Connection. The second piece of this data model is we pair up that member data with databases that Connecture has been curating for the better part of 25 years. That's drug databases, plan databases, eligibility information, pharmacies, pricing, benefits. That's all of the databases that we need to make our shopping and enrollment technology work the way that it does. Make plans available for folks to be shopping through, make prices available. So we're utilizing that data in a new and unique way to pair up both members and all of that plan landscape information into our audience engine. Now, what this audience engine does is it says, look, we have a massive amount of member data. We have a massive amount of plan data. Let's put logic on top of it and allow for folks to qualify and fit into these different groups called audiences that represent an area of disruption. So let's give you a couple of examples of what that might look like. So overall, for plan year 2025, there are going to be 14 audiences of people available. A few of them are ones that we've talked through already, things like a discontinued plan, right? So logic that can be put on top of that data model to say, what members are in a plan based on plan landscape data is not going to be available for next year. We can identify those members and put them into an audience that is identifying those discontinued members. Let's talk about premium and MOOP increases. If we identify in the plan landscape data that we receive as an organization that a premium will increase by a certain amount for the next plan year, we're able to flag those members who are in those plans and again, put them in an audience that identifies exactly who those members are. Probably an example of one of the more sophisticated audiences that we can do are drug formulary changes. So this is a member who, let's say they're taking 8 medications, and based on the plan landscape data that we have, we identify that a number of drugs are being discontinued on that formulary for the next year plan. That member who's taking 8 medications, let's say that one or more of those medications are a part of that list that is not going to be covered. You imagine how frustrating that would be for a member to realize that at the pharmacy as they're trying to fill a script. With Active Analytics, you as an agent are going to be able to know exactly who those members are and engage with them early to say, hey, we really need to discuss your medications and we need to discuss your plan options because you may have a really negative financial impact if this goes unaddressed. There's a whole number of different examples of these audiences that we're making available across benefit changes, MOOP changes, commissionable status. We know that a lot of plans in any point in the year can make plans non-commissionable. We're raising up an audience around that information as well. There's also an entire set of audiences around out-of-date data. So there may be members that haven't had their medicine cabinet updated in 12 months, that haven't had a provider in their cabinet at all, right? And maybe needs that to help them execute shopping and really make really informed decisions. There may be members that have a scope of appointment that was last executed 12 months and 1 day ago, meaning that that scope is now expired and needs to be reestablished with that member. All of these are groups that, because of the data model that we've built, can be organized for our users on Active Analytics and delivered as those audiences. So we've talked a little bit about the data model. Let's talk a little bit about the user interface now. So the overall process for the user interface itself, like we've said, it's see those impacted audiences. We'll give you an example of what that looks like. It's click into each of those audiences to get greater descriptions, greater guidance on how to work with those individuals. Use charts and filters that will also be available in the user interface to better slice and dice members on things like state level or county level, plan type, last update date, all the things that can be really valuable to hone in on a group of people you may want to address in a given morning, on a given day, or in a given week. And then finally, ways to build campaigns and engage with those impacted members. Those campaigns both constituting of the members themselves, as well as a recommended communication strategy that you can use that has gone through the compliance ringer, that is sort of determined by both Connecture and LeClair to be a compliant message that can be sent. Something that is served up really readily available for you to engage with your members. Let's take a look at a little bit what this looks like. So that's step one of seeing those audiences. When going into Active Analytics, the first screen that is going to be seen is the overall audiences screen. So all audiences that are available based on the times and based on when they can become available to the market are going to show up here. So we give just quick numbers, quick descriptions of how these audiences shake out. And you're able to kind of see the full breadth of insights that are available to you as an agent. The second piece is if you were to click into any one of those audience, I like to call them action cards, but that's just a little nomenclature. But if you were to click into any one of those cards that detail an audience, the very next screen you're going to get is our recommendation screen. So at the very top, you're going to be seeing a bit of a plain text description of what that audience means, just giving a little bit more context on what this group of people is. But you're also going to see insight guidance. This is text that has been collaborated on by Connecture and LeClair to make sure that you can have a step-by-step process of how to best engage with these individuals based on just the overall style that can best address those given members. Going the one step down, if you were to scroll down that page, what you're then going to see is a bit of a data visualization and filters that are available to use. So let's say that in your outdated medicine cabinet audience, there were 250 people that fell into that group of people. Or in your discontinued plan audience, there were 400 people that fell into that group. Part of the real joy of this system is both seeing who is affected, but also who is not affected, of knowing where you need to focus your attention, but also where you may be able to use a lower touch. But let's say that in one of these audiences, there's a wide range of people, right? 400 people is way too many to all email in the same day or all call in the same day. So we offer these filters to be able to filter by a lot of different criteria. So you may be able to say, all right, I want to focus my attention on a specific state or a specific county within that state to say, hey, I'm going to be in this area. Let's filter down and actually get to a list of people that I feel is more manageable for me. You can filter down by plan type. You can filter down by carrier. You can filter down by specific drugs in the cabinet, by condition data. There's a lot of filters and sort of segmenting ability built into Active Analytics itself. And all of that is available within those recommendation screens. The last bit here, and I'll go back to this view just for 1 second, because you may notice this build campaign button in the top right-hand corner. So all of this information is able then to be executed on outside of Active Analytics. So if you were to click that Build Campaign button, what you're then going to get is a sliding panel that comes out, and it's going to have all of the selected members based on those filters appear in a list. That list can then be exported as a CSV, and something we're going to be exploring with LeClair is how we may be able to reflect some of that information in other systems, such as the CRM or a communications platform. But overall, there's a way to then get this data out of Active Analytics to best coordinate with these members how you see fit. So this campaign may become a call list, something that you can operate from of folks that you know you need to engage with based on that recommended communication strategy. This may be a list that can be used for an Outlook mail merge, where you can be inputting names and be inputting these different communication strategies to engage with them one by one. These might be things to be input into a CRM that can then be added to a drip campaign to make sure that you're engaging with folks and doing so in an automated way. So the flexibility in the system is making sure that you really have the tools at your disposal to see how folks are going to be affected, and then be able to take action on them. With that, we will say that, like we said, we don't want to bury the lead, but Active Analytics is coming soon for LeClair agents. So we're working very diligently on getting your spaces set up, on collaborating with our LeClair contacts and team to make sure that all of our communication strategies are put in place, make sure all the data is reflected, to clean as much as we can. But this is a capability that we really think is going to be a really valuable addition to your tool set. And as Omar said, if there are agents that are listening in who may be on the fence about using Medicare Connector as sort of a technology platform to help not only with your growth, but just your member management, I think that this is an added incentive of knowing that all of the members that are reflected in that system are going to be included as part of Active Analytics. So in closing, there's a lot that I'll say this: there are some organizations that try and use technology as a way to eliminate the human element of our industry, right? Remove folks from things that are just very cut and dry, that really need human interaction to move forward. I believe there's no replacement for the kitchen table conversation of an agent and their beneficiary, for the phone call, for setting up a booth at the farmer's market to let folks know that that you're in their communities, that you're representing them well, and that you're serving them in the way that you really best see fit. We view Active Analytics as not removing that human element, but really making the folks who use it highly efficient and highly productive, when every minute and every hour counts during the AEP season. So as this tool becomes available, we'd love your feedback. We love ideas. Like we said, this is our launch year for Active Analytics. There's going to be a lot of things that we'd love to learn, and there's no better way to learn them than from engaging with agents directly. So thank you to LeClair for partnering with us on Active Analytics, and a lot more to come in the coming weeks.
That is so exciting. I thank you so much, Aaron, for that. And if anyone has any questions, feel free to put those into the chat in the Q&A. We definitely have time. I get this is, for most of you, all of you, might be your first time seeing this, so it can be a lot to take in. I remember February, I believe, we had headed down to Nashville and got a kind of a sneak peek at what was coming, and I was so excited to be able to unveil this to our agents. One of the things, Aaron, I think you might have said this, we'll just give you credit for it. You definitely said it, but that really stuck with me was just commenting on the sheer amount of data that we're able to capture and hold in Medicare Connector. And all of our agents have seen that, and I think it's made their lives easier. But you had really specified, let's use all of that data. How can we use that to our advantage? And it really clicked with me. It's working smarter, not harder. And I think this is going to be amazing. So
Absolutely.
I do see a couple of questions coming through here. So we can take a look at those. So the biggest questions are going to be about cost. So this will be included with your Medicare Connector. That is no cost to any of you. So I know it can get a little confusing because there are a lot of different features that Connecture keeps unveiling. So that's a great question. But for anyone working with LeClair, your Medicare Connector account is free of charge, and Active Analytics will also be included in that. Just for reference, Retire Flow, which is another amazing tool, that one is an additional charge, but we think that one is really invaluable as well. So keep those questions coming in terms of what's included, what isn't, because we know it does get confusing. We have another question. Is Active Analytics embedded in Medicare Connector, or is it only in a separate software? And
Yeah,
Aaron,
I can take that.
perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. So there certainly is an interplay between Medicare Connector and Active Analytics. So tactically, how you'll use it is it will appear as a separate tab. So it technically is a separate piece of software, but there are ways to interplay back and forth between Medicare Connector and Active Analytics. The first of which is closer to the AEP season, there will be a button to essentially enable your access into Active Analytics directly from Medicare Connector. So for folks who are permissioned into the Active Analytics system, you'll see a button in the Medicare Connector UI that will be able to send you directly over to Active Analytics. So there's a bit of an interplay there. We think that having it be its own separate tab will actually help to kind of level set the interplay between the two systems, right? Active Analytics, what it won't do is have you shop and enroll for plans, right? That's really where Medicare Connector comes in. And the good thing is what Medicare Connector won't do is raise up a lot of those insights overall. So I view, being able to use these on two separate tabs of seeing where the kind of roadmap of disruptions are and being able to act on those individuals that you're seeing as part of that data set in a separate tab is a really strong use case. So we think there's going to be a lot of interplay back and forth, but Active Analytics kind of exists as that separate platform, but serves a different purpose and therefore can live outside.
I love how you kind of explained how they work together but separate. Very important distinction for that. I know you're going to love this question. We realize it's a rolling out for a product, but in your mind, what would be maybe an anticipated date that people could start using it, or is there anything they can start doing now to prepare?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about a little bit of the dates. So first of all, we're getting very close. We like to do kind of a phased rollout just to make sure that everything is acting as it should, right? So we'll roll out with kind of a smaller group to start. And I'd say somewhere around early to mid-July is when we can start letting in groups of agents and then really kind of permission to the full agent population overall. So fortunately, I don't have an exact date for you, but it's coming in weeks, not months. I'll say that. The second thing that I just want to level set with the group, I like to operate on transparency. We mentioned a lot of those great audiences around plan disruptions. For everyone in the industry, all of those audiences are dependent on the plan data themselves. So a lot of plans are going through their bid process, their plan design changes now. And the moment that data is available, we're going to be able to make those audiences available. But in that early to mid-July timeframe, you'll see some of our audiences that can help all of our users prepare for the AEP season with those plan impact audiences, we call them. That's the formulary disruptions, discontinued plans, premium increases, to be available just ahead of the AEP season when Connecture and really the entire market has access to that information. The good news there is because of those relationships with 200 carriers, Connecture is an organization that can get that data a lot faster than having it through public use files. So we're not beholden to the kind of the mechanism that everyone would get public access to those files. So we're able to have a little bit of that more that faster speed to market. But the overall usage will kind of start in July, and then will help folks sort of prep for the AP season. And then Sarah, kind of your last point is, what can folks be doing to prepare? I'd say the biggest thing is to be coordinating with LeClair, be coordinating with your managers and your support team within LeClair to reflect data within Medicare Connector. Right, the direct integration is going to run off of Medicare Connector. So if there are folks that you've been kind of holding off on of putting into that system to be using that as shopping and enrollment technology, this might be our impetus to move more of those members into that system, which can have, as Omar mentioned, good impacts on your overall ability to serve those members through good technology, but also will be the impetus to to use them for active analytics, to have them included as part of that analysis.
Great answer. We've already had people raising their hand to be part of the small groups of agents to be let in. So we do
I see Kathleen saying,
accept,
pick me. So
yep, we accept bribes. We accept, extravagant trips, anything you want to put out there.
Of course, I can be bribed with compliments. So that's I'll leave that out there for the group.
Oh, you're much easier than us. Well, and I did want to mention, you raised the point of, I guess I raised the point and then you talked about it, but just what can we do now? And we are definitely seeing this, as more features get added, as AAPs continue to be disruptive, there is going to be a timeline that that agents who are going to be successful are going to follow. So like you said, right now, even without active analytics, we're really pushing to make sure all of your data within Medicare Connector is up to date. So making sure you have all of the contracts through Medicare Connector. So the ones you have through LeClair are going to be the ones we can use this with. Make sure that all of your clients' information is up to date through sending out letters, just advising them to make any updates. But there are so many other tools that as Aaron mentioned, you may not have taken advantage of yet, just because it is new. But if you do have your clients in another system, perhaps your CRM is an Excel spreadsheet, this would be a fantastic time to transfer that over to us. So we have a file transfer process. We can take, lists of names, email addresses with one button. We put those into Medicare Connector. So then you could have your full book of business. You can then use Retire Flow to reach out to all of those with one bulk send to have them update their medications, their doctors, and to get a scope of appointment. At that point, we'd hopefully be sitting at August, September. You're starting to plan out your ANOC meetings, et cetera. And then active analytics is going to kick in and be able to identify all of those people. So there are different tools that have been unrolled that we do really think right now that active analytics is going to be that final piece that is going to make your AEP as smooth and efficient as possible. And if you need help with any of those other, the file transfer, Retire Flow, working with Medicare Connector, we can help, because we want to make sure you're ready in September-ish, October, when active analytics is ready to go. And it does look,
Absolutely.
yes, yep. So it looked like somebody was just wondering, if I have a lot of clients and they're not in Connecture, is there an easy way to do that? Yes. Answer is yes. And in the past, to be very honest, if you had done your file transfer last year, it may not have been as appealing, because if you were using Retire Flow, you would have had to go in and individually send emails to get all of those preferences updated. But now through Retire Flow, you can do a bulk send of those emails. So it can really be as simple as, massive file transfer, massive Retire Flow send, and then active analytics is going to clean everything up for you. And I don't see any other questions coming in right now. So we can stay on for a couple of more minutes if people did have questions. Omar, anything I missed in? I know it's a very exciting system we're unveiling, so I think everyone's just in shock and trying to handle their excitement.
No, you've said it all. As I would add, in the last couple of years as I've been at LeClair, we've really seen massive increase of people using Connector and really being able to use the tool in and really have seen a lot of success. So I encourage everybody to get in there and play around. And once we get access to active analytics, just go for it.
I'll say this too. This is also maybe this something we got to work out, but this is certainly not the last you'll see of me and Joanna, right? We take our client engagements on active analytics this year with a lot of grateful energy and just a lot of excitement, right? So we want to make sure that you all get a really good experience with active analytics as well, right? We know that we want to keep the use case really honed in, very simple to use, very valuable, but we want to make sure that we're being a visible presence for you all and answer questions as much as we can, right? The more that we can learn from you, the more we can learn from how you want to use a tool like this, what sort of audience information is valuable, things that really help move the needle on both your growth and your retention efforts. We are all ears about that. So, you certainly this isn't just the quick 20-minute overview and then it will disappear forever. We really want to be involved with the folks who are engaged with us this year.
Well, we can't wait to see much more of you and Joanna. So at this point, we know everyone's very busy, so we can wrap up the webinar. I will be sending out a follow-up to this. So if you missed it or you wanted to watch it again and capture all of the excitement, I will be sending that out this afternoon. We will also have links to previous trainings, to other upcoming trainings. I can put in some references on the file transfer that I mentioned, any information on Retire Flow. So as Aaron said, this is just the starting point. We hope you're excited about this because we do think it's going to be a big game changer for the upcoming enrollment period. So give us all your questions. If there's one thing we know LeClair agents are good at, it's giving feedback. So Aaron, I think once our agents start using this, there's going to be a lot of really great feedback coming your way. But thank you again to everyone. Huge thank you to Aaron and Joanna for joining us today. We can't wait for this year and beyond with Medicare Connector. Can't wait to see what else you guys come up with. But hope everyone, and at this point, we've got one more question coming in. So if you do have to leave, that's great, but we'll just get this question answered. So an agent was wondering if formulary changes in coverage or tier cost be a data point to search. So if I'm reading it correctly, perhaps if you just wanted to see if a certain, like a tier 3 drugs would be changed, if that's possible, if I'm reading it right, or maybe how much freedom would you have in determining kind of what those data points would be?
Yeah, the overall logic is on if it was included in formulary and then not included in formulary for next year. What we're going to work on as kind of a follow-up to that is how we address kind of the nuances of those changes within filters that are available. So maybe it's a drug that is still on formulary, but it's being it's being reflected at a different tier. Can't make exact promises of how that will sort of manifest in the UI itself. But overall, we really want to keep the logic really crystal clear on what we're able to raise up and where the areas of impact really are, right? Because part of this is less about trying to dive into each individual cost. It's about where is an area that presents an engagement opportunity for you all to reach out to those members and then potentially dive into Medicare Connector and get a lot of that individual context on the exact medications, the exact prices, the exact tier changes. Maybe said a simpler way. Keeping the logic simple on the drug formulary, but seeing what we can do around tier changes and specific price changes.
And of course, great question, Greg. And if you do have any feedback on maybe how you'd like to see it, feel free to send that over and we can work with that as well. So one final question, I promise this is it, and then we'll wrap up. Seems like a big one. Will active analytics address any network changes at all?
So the main network change that it will reflect is pharmacy network. I know that the big one that a lot of folks are really interested in is provider network. I think we're all familiar that the provider information is kind of the big thorn in the side for all of the data folks, in the industry overall. So for us, realizing that it is a carrier and sort of a network uh, data dependency overall, we wanted to make sure that every audience we put in had the highest level of integrity possible. That if we were actually going to say that a doctor was going to be out of network or a hospital group was out of network, that we were 100% confident that that was the case. Knowing the issues with that data set in the overall industry, we didn't want to kind of compromise that integrity. And so that audience of provider in or out of network is a stretch goal that we're working on for early next year, but not for this year. However, what you will see in there, because it's a much more reliable data set, is pharmacy networks. So you will see an audience of individuals who, were going to a CVS, and that was the main pharmacy for that plan. CVS is now dropped and it's swapped to Walgreens, or it's swapped to Rite Aid, right? You will see those sorts of changes to pharmacy network changes.
That's perfect. Yes, and we understand, the difficulties with those network changes. I know there's a new provider lookup on Medicare Connector this year, which will also hopefully help with that. So we know you guys will continue to work on any of those pain points and appreciate the transparency.
Of
All
course.
right.
Yeah, if you could see our whiteboard, we've got like big post-its for big things we're working on, and there's a big old one that says provider, and it's stayed up there for the last few months. So certainly an area that we'd love to expand into, and we're working diligently on it.
As long as it's on your radar, that's all we can hope for.
Of course.
All right. Well, thank you again to everyone. We know more questions will come up. Keep them coming. Watch for that email this afternoon. Sign up for Healthapalooza, and we hope to see you all very soon. Have a great day.
Thank you, Ronnie.
Thank you all.